Hi everyone, let's talk more about catastrophizing and how it can impact on your mental health. Catastrophizing is about imagining the worst case scenario, or always coming up with the worst case scenario on a subconscious level to protect yourself. But in reality, this can increase your level of depression and your level of anxiety. If you haven't met me before, my name is Sama. I'm a registered counselor, a relationship coach, and an inner child coach. Make sure to follow me and get notified whenever I make a new video. Feel free to share it with a friend and like it and comment below if you need any supports. So let's talk about why do we tend to always imagine the worst case scenario and how can this really impact on your mental health? So I'm going to use an example. Let's say you failed one of your exams at uni. What happens? You imagine the worst case scenario. They're going to kick me out of school. I'm not going to find a career. I'm not going to get hired. I'm going to live alone and I'm not going to be able to provide for myself. And I'm going to maybe be homeless. And then you move from one negative thought to another negative thought. And then you realize all of this has started with a small setback, which is normal in life. And if you imagine the worst case scenario, then this has to do a lot with your upbringing. It has a lot to do with your traumas and how much you struggled in life. It could be an indication that your inner child is struggling and doesn't trust your adult self. So you always think about the worst case scenario. I'm going to give you another quick example here. Let's say you've been through a relationship and this relationship has failed. Let's say the guy rejected you. Maybe he was a narcissist and this relationship didn't end up well. What happens to you? The first thing you're going to think about, you're going to think, I'm not going to find someone else. I'm going to live alone. It might take years. I rather give up. And then you focus mostly on what could go wrong rather than understanding, oh, I left this relationship because this guy was not a good match for me and I need to start working on knowing my worth and connecting with myself. Instead, you come up with negative thoughts, which can activate this abandonment wound, which can trigger your anxiety and your depression. And I do understand why you're doing this. If you always think about the worst case scenario, it's like one of my clients said to me once, I always think about the worst case scenario because I'm trying to protect myself. It's like a learned habit and a learned behavior where, I will prepare for the worst to protect myself from disappointments. But what happens then on a subconscious level, your brain starts picking up messages and sees every setback or small issue as a threat. There's threats everywhere where you feel anxious and you can feel it in your body. So you do more harm to yourself by using this coping mechanism. It's like, I'm going to protect myself by thinking about the worst case scenario. But then in reality, what you're doing, you're training your mind to see threats everywhere, which can hold you back from finding love, finding a new job, and even dealing with challenges to the point where you become more numb to the point where you don't want to try anything because you see there's no point in trying and you move into the, I'm going to lose hope, I'm going to give up. And then you're going to deal with high level of anxiety, higher level of depression, and your inner child will be triggered and you will feel like you're not alive and you're stuck in life. And you may wonder by now, how can I feel better? And the first step to feel better is to actually not see anxiety as a threat. There's nothing wrong with anxiety. Okay, if I'm feeling anxiety, I need to explore it rather than seeing it as a threat. When you see it as a threat, that's when you try to avoid it by thinking about the worst case scenario and not deal with the cause of the immediate anxiety that you have. You know, rather than dealing with it, you avoid it, and then it does add up and it grows. Like fear, if you don't deal with it, it's going to grow. And when anxiety is growing, then you lose hope and you see everything as a threat. So instead, I want you to start noticing, if I'm stressed, if I'm feeling anxious, it's not actually a bad thing. It's just a small setback. It's just a small obstacle on the way. And rather than going into your coping mechanism like drinking, avoiding talking about it, being quiet, crying, rather than that, just take a second and stay with it and explore it. Because all of these things are coming from negative thoughts, which can trigger the threat response and you move into the survival mode. Instead, we want to stay with what's happening and understanding, why am I feeling that way? It's about taking a step back. It's like understanding that you have a choice and you can take a step back and you notice what's happening. Why am I feeling that way? What has activated my anxiety to that point? What can I do about it? Sometimes it's about questioning, what can I do? What's in my control and what's outside of my control? I know maybe it doesn't feel comfortable practicing these skills, but if you don't, then your anxiety will grow. You're gonna feel more depressed, and using medications is not the answer. Because once you come off medications, what's gonna happen? Rather than that, you need to know how to feel secure, how to control this negative cycle of negative thoughts. You need to understand that you're not your thoughts. See anxiety as a good thing. Maybe it's an indication about a trigger, about something not going right. How can I fix it? What can I do about this? What healthy habits can I implement in my life to feel more at peace? Really, start it really starts with you questioning this and taking a step back. It's about noticing. And after that, coming up with healthy habits, seeing what's in your control, writing an action plan about what can you do to feel more at peace today. Rather than naming anxiety as bad, just stay with it, notice things, see how you can fix it, come up with healthy habits, and take actions. You're not your anxiety. You're not your depression. You're not your traumas. You're not anything that happened to you. Start noticing, start practicing being aware, and everything else will change for you. And if you need more support, and you need to go deeper into your traumas and controlling your level of anxiety and letting go of this coping mechanism of imagining the worst case scenario, then contact me today. Follow me on Instagram and let me know if you need further support. Let's talk. Let's talk more about this. But start noticing, start connecting, start healing this inner child by validating your inner child and understanding, anxiety is not a bad thing. You just need to know how to control it by being aware, by coming up with healthy habits, by taking actions, by realizing there's options. You have options. You failed an exam, you can do another exam. Your relationship didn't work out. I'm gonna work on me, focus on me, and then attract someone better for me because I'm worthy of it. I'm worthy and I deserve it. Start changing this so your mind can relax a bit, your brain can understand not everything is a threat. Everything starts with you. You have the choice. You choose happiness, you choose joy, you choose to be happy, you choose joy in your life. So don't settle. Like and share this video to raise awareness. And thank you all for watching and take care of yourself.